Let's start with roll call. Commissioners present. I'm Don Griffin.
Nick Kappas, present.
David Walter, present.
Okay, staff. What do we got now?
I think that's it.
That's it. Yep. Staff present.
Jeff Underwood, Controller Treasurer.
Hey, Brent Pierce is on here. My screen says Lila. However, I've borrowed my better half's computer this evening. So she's prettier and has a prettier name than me. So if you see Lila, that's actually Brent Pierce.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Lila. I mean, Brent, I'm sorry.
I think we have a new nickname. This is Alex with the Department of Economic Sustainable Development.
Larry Allen, Legal.
Sean Starwood's ESD.
Okay. I think Zodi.
Yeah, I'm Cody with a hand. Sorry.
Okay.
And I'm John Zodi. I'm the incoming ham director, just here to observe and wanted to say hi and introduce myself to everybody. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, let's go with the reading of the minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes for the meeting on February the 1st, 2021?
This is David Walter. I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from February 1st.
Nick Kappas, second.
All in favor? Aye, Don Griffin.
Aye, Nick Kappas.
Aye, David Walter.
None opposed. The motion carries. Examination of claims. Is there a motion to approve the claims register for February the 5th, 2021?
This is David Walter. I'll make a motion to accept the claims.
Nick Kappas, second.
All in favor? Aye, Don Griffin.
Aye, Nick Kappas.
Aye, David Walter.
Motion carries. Examination of payroll registers. Is there a motion to approve the payroll register for January the 29th, 2021?
This is David Walter. I'll make a motion to accept payroll registers.
Nick Kappas, second.
All in favor? Aye, Don Griffin.
Aye, Nick Kappas.
Aye, David Walter.
None opposed. The motion carries. The next item of business is reports of officers and committees. Is there a director's report? I think you're just, do you have a report, John?
No, I don't.
All right.
Mr. Griffin, I'll turn it over to Brent as the acting director. I'm not on until April 5th. So
okay, I'm sorry, man. Sorry.
No, that's okay.
Sorry.
My friend Brent's got it under
all right, Brent. I'm sorry. You got anything for us, man?
That's okay, folks. I believe it's an agenda item. The only thing that I'm going to speak to, Don, this evening is the CDBG round of funding that's going to be heard by the commission this evening.
Okay. We can probably, we'll go ahead and wait on that then because it's an agenda item. Thank you. Yep. Is there a legal report?
Just briefly, I'm going to talk about the EDA grant just for a moment. So as you know, the EDA grant was put in a city and the co-applicant, the BEDC, for a potential technology center in the Trades District. We had a favorable report. Part of that negotiation, there was just a renegotiation of where the architectural fees would go that I wanted to alert you to. So the RDC pledged, I believe it was 1.8 million for that project, and agreement has been reached with the EDA that the architectural fees could come out of that pledged money from the RDC, and so that the grant could go all for the funding of the projects and the building itself. So that's just a minor update about that project and some of the discussions that were going on with EDA. I'm sure Alex may have some other things he may share in his report, but that's just briefly. Otherwise, I'm happy to answer any questions that the commissioners may have.
Okay. We good?
This is David Walter. Just a question, if the grant is approved, when do we get the money?
Yeah, that's a great question, actually. Alex, do you have
yeah, I can speak to that. We resubmitted a revised grant application on last Tuesday, February 9th. We were, so they can take upwards of 60 days to do back and forth with us. They take it through their final approval process, and then it can be another 60 days beyond that. So I think worst case, we should expect sometime in June, but it could be sooner.
All righty. Is there a treasurer's report?
There is no report tonight. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Is there a CTP update report?
No, I was going to update you on the EDA, but I think that's been done.
All right, fantastic. Any questions from redevelopment commissioners? Okay. Thanks for the reports, folks. Let's go on to new business, and let me state that this is a public hearing. This is the part of the meeting that is a public hearing. The first item of business is Resolution 21-09, approval of the CAC recommendations. Is there anyone that's present that wants to speak in regards? You're going to do that for us, aren't you, Brent?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
All right.
Very much. I know that Cody and Matt are on here as well, who are the hand program managers for CDBG funding, so they can jump in if I've missed anything or if you all have specific questions. But what you see in the resolution is for the commissioners to hear the Citizens Advisory Committee recommendations for CDBG funding for the two different pools of money, which for Exhibit A is for physical improvements and Exhibit B is for social services. Fortunately, we are in a position this year to fund all applicants at their requested amounts. So we don't have to shortchange anybody given the funding that we have on hand. And let me confirm. Right, so the allocation for the year, HUD wants us to sort of pie graph define for them social services, physical improvements, and administrative funds for CDBG. And so this year it was 15% for social services, 65% for physical improvements, and then 20% for admin. As you'll see in the resolution, those total to $661,700 for physical improvements, $152,700 for social services, and then $203,600 for admin spending, which is sort of departmental kind of programmatic spending if we need some internal funding to carry out the goals of the program. So I'm happy to report that we don't need to make any hard cuts or decisions to give anybody less than what they need to carry out their funding requests. And so this, for a process, this went through two different reviews by committee of the CAC and then full CAC for both pools of funding. The CAC's made up of folks from the neighborhood or from neighborhoods, I guess, from Bloomington, and then I think there's some counselors on the CAC as well. So to give you an idea of the makeup. But if you have any questions, please fire away. Like I said, Cody and Matt are on here. I'm happy to speak to them if I can.
You know what? Let's start. Let's ask the public if they have any questions in regards to Resolution 21-09, and then we'll go back to our redevelopment commissioners and ask them. Any questions from the public in regards to Resolution 21-09? Okay, I think we're good. So do we have any questions, folks?
This is David Walter. I see that Summit Hill Community Development Corporation, Crestmont site improvements, typically they ask for enough funding to renovate one building each year. Is that what the funding is for on this particular recommendation?
Let's see here. That would be, so Matt Sweeney manages the physical improvements. I believe he told me he is on here.
Yes, he is.
Okay, great.
Matt, you want to? Go right ahead, Matt.
All right, thanks. Yeah, they're doing another building to add more accessible ramps to the units. They did a similar project the round before, so they're just carrying on getting as many units accessible as possible.
Okay.
Okay, that's great.
Thank you, Matt.
Yeah, no problem.
Any other questions in regards to resolution 21-10? And if not, can we have a motion? Oh, 21-09. I'm so sorry, folks.
This is Nick Kappas. I move approval of resolution 21-09 of the community development block grant recommendations by the Citizens Advisory Committees.
This is David Walter. I'll second that motion.
All in favor? Aye, Don Griffin.
Aye, Nick Kappas.
Aye, David Walter.
None opposed, so the motion does carry. Thank you.
I definitely want to say, I mean, so I was on the, so there were two RDC members on the CAC. I was on the social services subcommittee of the CAC. It was a great opportunity, and I think I spoke at the last meeting, but we're definitely taking a look at the process to make it easier for individual organizations to apply. It's not as intuitive unless you have a grant writer or someone like who is a fellow, is from SPIA, maybe even like on staff. So I think making it more accessible to individuals to put out there to have a little bit more of a breadth of individual organizations to ask for CBD, community block grant funds will be better for the community in its entirety. So, but it was a great opportunity.
I will jump in there, Mr. Chair, if I can. I want to second what Mr. Kappas just said. We're already starting to talk internally about making these programs a bit more accessible to community organizations. They can be a bit nuanced and complex. It is federal funding. So in the interest of increasing, I think, applicants or just presenting additional organizations with the opportunity is a goal going forward. So thank you, Nick, for your participation, and hope you continue to do that. And I look forward to working with you and others to improve the process, and I think make the funding more accessible.
Likewise.
Okay. Hey, thank you. That concludes our public hearing. We're going to go on to the next item of business, which is Resolution 21-10, Addendum to Agreement with T3 Environments for Art in Switchyard Park. Addendum to Agreement with T3 Environments for Art in Switchyard Park. Who would like to speak in regards to this resolution?
Don, I can. Sean Starrett here at ESD. It's good to see you all again. I'm excited that all these public art projects are happening. I realized I didn't include the updated artwork, but this is, and I can share my screen to do that, but this is an updated addendum to a contract that we executed last year. Unfortunately, COVID impacted T3's construction timeline. And so we are on track to actually have this project complete by the end of May, which is really exciting. It's a double installation that will be happening at the Splash Pad building at Switchyard Park. It's part of our 1% program, which the RDC helps us kind of oversee. And real quick here, I'll just bring this up just so you all can see the public art pieces. So let's see, I'm sharing my screen. You guys should be able to see this. This construction drawing isn't much to look at, but at night it is in reference to Bloomington's legacy with the Underground Railroad. There's some strong ties about Switchyard Park and the location there. So the public art installation is very much tied to a lot of local history, and that was kind of how we designed the call. And specifically, there's property that was owned across the street on Rogers that was a historical stop on the Underground Railroad. So we'll be partnering with the Monroe County Public Library and the History Center to talk about more Underground Railroad legacy and history at the dedication when that time comes and we can safely do that. So this is on one of the facades. And then on the other facade, we really wanted to make sure that there was an interactive public art element from the artist group, which is T3 Environments. And this is an actual kind of abstracted map of the switchyard park itself when it was an active switchyard. And there's actual rail cars that will move and the switchyard will turn. It's all kid safe. Fingers can't be pitched. That's been part of the engineering of the work. But overall, this is the kind of updated kind of construction designs that are going into fabrication as we speak. So happy to answer any questions that you all might have. And once again, it's always a pleasure to be at the RDC.
Thank you. Let me ask the public if they have any questions in regard to Resolution 21-10. Let's see, do we have anything? Nothing. So questions from redevelopment commissioners? We have those.
Yeah, as I understand this resolution, it's mainly to extend the completion date and no increase in fees or cost or anything like that. Is that correct?
That's correct, David.
Well, that makes it really easy.
Yeah, it does. So do we have a motion? Were you motioning, David?
Yeah, I would move that we accept Resolution 21-10.
Nick Kappas seconds.
All those in favor? Aye, Don Griffin.
Aye, Nick Kappas.
Aye, David Walter.
None opposed. The motion does carry. The next, thank you.
Thanks, Don. Thanks all.
All right, thanks, Sean.
Thank you.
The next item of business is Resolution 21-11, acceptance, conveyance of ownership of 4th Street parking garage.
So this is actually just a cleanup formality with the 4th Street parking garage, the issue of the bonds that we need to just execute the quitclaim deed that transfers it officially from the city of Bloomington by and through its Board of Public Works to the Redevelopment Commission. The Board of Public Works just asked for us to pass a resolution here that certifies that the RDC will be accepting the property. This is one of those things that we were kind of wanted to make sure that we had all the easement issues cleaned up, and there was a property acquisition issue obviously that also was part of this. But this is simply a quitclaim deed from the Board of Public Works from the city of Bloomington to transfer the ownership to the RDC. The RDC will own the property and the improvements, so including the garage, for the life of the bond. It's a 20-year bond, so through 2040. At the payoff of the bond, we would then reconvey it back to the city of Bloomington for ownership back and through the Board of Public Works, which has been the process in the past for any bond-approved project. This also happened with, for instance, the transit center. When we built a new transit center, is that the RDC took ownership for a while and then reconveyed it back to the city.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Do we have any questions from the public in regards to Resolution 21-11? We do not. Any questions from redevelopment commissioners?
Well, I'm going to presume if the Redevelopment Commission owns this parking garage that redevelopment commissioners can park in the parking garage.
Oh my!
And pay the normal fees that everyone else does. So
that's exactly right. We are happy to take any of the fees, just like whenever I flash my badge and they still charge me for hourly parking at all of our public garages.
Oh man. David, you took my line, man. Like word for word. So I love it.
So I do have a question. So if we are taking ownership here, and with parking garages being such a hot topic, is there a possibility of this, let me ask it this way. Is there a possibility of this parking garage, 4th Street parking garage, being at the center of anything to do with city council or any of those decisions without us knowing first, I guess? like, I guess, are there going to be outside influences that are now going to be dictating our property, even though we're taking ownership?
Well,
Does that make sense?
I think it depends what you're talking about. I don't know. I don't know of anything that you're specifically referencing. So if you,
I'm just asking a question.
Yeah. Okay. The outside influence that we really have to contend with, I mean, it's still subject to parking operations. So our parking operations is still going to operate the garage as a garage. So what city council will be able to set are certainly the rates, any kind of policies for parking in the garage. So it will be subject to that. But by and large, I don't think that there would be anything. It's still an asset. It's also an asset that we have to preserve and own for the purposes of the bonds. So because there's a debt issue out there, there's also that sensitivity in terms of the use of the property, making sure that the property still has value for the life of those bonds. And that'll be
So I guess, so would we establish the use of the property, or would city council establish the use of the property?
I don't know that. When you say establish the use of the property, do you mean,
let me,
zone
like,
it
for instance, like, yeah, so for instance, well, I mean, zoning is P&T and Plan Commission and all them, but like specifically say the commercial, right? What if the RDC didn't want commercial in their property anymore? What would happen?
I think that would be a big conversation with everybody in the city. Certainly, if the board passed something where you didn't want commercial, and there would be some other use for that portion. So maybe it would be offices or something like that. That would certainly be an RDC approved thing. And in terms of somebody else doing that without your knowledge, that would not happen. It would it would require approval of the redevelopment commission.
Okay, I was just making sure. I don't want to assume anything.
Well,
you know,
Nick, in the olden days, and that we don't do it anymore, we would have breakdancing fights between each.
Hey, I'm willing to do whatever. Okay. My father-in-law was a B-boy, and he can teach me. So.
Okay. Do we have any other questions in regards to resolution 21-11 or?
Well, I just think, again, by redevelopment commission owning this, then as we continue forward, the maintenance and upkeep of the facility, the asset, is better with us than with city operations, because we're going to be out there looking at this saying, yeah, we shouldn't let this go too long, and we have funding available to do the necessary repairs. So we're not back in the same corner that we were a couple years ago with a deteriorating structure that funds were not available during the life of that structure to keep it maintained properly.
Oh, that's right.
So I think this is a good thing.
Yeah, I agree with you. I just wanted to get that clarification out there. But also, I agree with you because they'd be coming to us for the funds anyway. So why not have us own it? You know.
And one of the
I'll jump in here. You know, obviously the parking garages are you guys are going to own the majority of the parking structures. Is that I think it's important that the council be aware of your thoughts in that, and that we really will need to take a hard look at the rates that we charge for these facilities, so that the debt service is really the contribution, but the garages themselves should pay to maintain themselves, and that we should maintain them at a high level so that we don't have those problems. So part of that will be putting pressure on the rates, unfortunately, because we're well below market. But I think that's something we're going to have to consider in the future, that there may be we bring resolutions to the RDC to forward to the city council on the rate structure. So just wanted to throw that out there.
I would also just follow up on that and note that one of the differences with these garages is that we had to make sure that there would be a maintenance plan in place. And so that's going to be a feature of both of these new garages, is that we do have a maintenance plan that we can follow to make sure that we keep them up and in good condition for the life of the garages.
And that was one of the things that the city council themselves brought up was, rather than having, if we believe a garage is going to last 20 to 50 years, is the expectation is that the city will continue to maintain those so that they can last that long. And I know David, he's been involved in a lot of these projects as I have. And government is really good at coming up with money to build things and really lousy at coming up with the money to maintain them. So we sit here and say, yeah, this is a 30-year or 50-year facility, and then we cut the maintenance money out as soon as it goes out of warranty, and it becomes a 15 or 20-year building. So we'll push real hard to make sure that gets maintained. Part of the Park Smart is, as Larry said, a maintenance plan to keep it up and keep it certified. So I think there will be pressure wanted in our case, not unwanted, to maintain those facilities at the level they need to be maintained.
Okay. Thank you. Do we have a motion?
This is David Walter. I'll make a motion to accept Resolution 21-11.
Nick Apis, seconds.
All those in favor? I, Don Griffin.
Hi, Nick Apis.
David Walter votes yes.
None opposed. The motion carries. The last item of business is Resolution 21-12. Approval of partnership agreement with BCT Management 2021. Who wants to speak? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I can do it. Alex.
All right,
Riley,
Alex.
Sustainable Development. So this is a recurring annual event for you, as well as the Parks Board and the Board of Public Works. We have an annual agreement with BCT Management to manage the Buskirk Chumley Theater. What's slightly different this year is that whereas Parks used to run that point on that relationship, the Department of Economic Sustainable Development is taking lead on the relationship. Sean Starowitz is leading that from our department. There are really three funding sources for that. The one that is in front of you is the $74,000 from the consolidated TIF, up to $74,000, which can be available to the BCT for TIF eligible projects. In addition to that, City Council provides $55,000, and that's what the Board of Public Work helps to administer. And then the Parks Department makes up to $15,000 available for maintenance projects. So what you have, the resolution basically is saying that, number one, you find that this is an appropriate use of TIF. Number two, and of course, before we make any expenditures, would vet that through Larry and through legal. Number two, that you authorize Commissioner Griffin to sign for this. Number three, it's that a reauthorization of the up to $74,000 from the consolidated TIF, and then that amount does not extend beyond the end of 2021. There are very minor tweaks to this year's agreement relative to last year. There was a technical director position that became untenable as a requirement because of the pandemic, so we've allowed them to back off that this year. That the agreement had some weird language that extended dates into the future, even though the agreement terminated. So we cleaned that up in the agreement. And then finally, that the city can do an inventory at its discretion as opposed to a mandatory inventory every year. So those are the primary changes to the agreement relative to past agreements. This has been in place since 2001, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. And so what we'll do is, with your approval and signature on the agreement, put it in front of the Board of Public Works this evening as well for theirs. And then the Parks Board is scheduled for February 23rd. Any questions?
I got one. We really haven't changed the it's been stuck at 75 for a while, right?
Yes, that's as far as since I've been back, that's the amount that it's been done. The only substantive change has been the City Council added $50,000 for general operations, and I believe 5 years ago.
Okay.
And then the parks, they've done their part as well.
Okay. I mean, I don't mind. I mean, I think what I'm saying is I wonder if that's going to need to be adjusted. Not this year. I mean, we're going to give them the money for this amount, but I wonder if we need to start looking at adjusting that for inflation, because it's been that way for at least 5 years, wouldn't you say?
Well, what I would say is that this is generally for bigger type things that they can't fund. The push has been on both parts is to get this to be a break-even organization, and they would really be able to plan for capital improvements. And there's such limitations on what the RDC, the TIP money can be used for.
Mm-hmm.
We could, even if we increase it, I'm not really sure that there's a lot of expenditures left that would qualify for as an improvement. So it can't be just a straight replacement. It has to be. So like, we've in the past, we've done a furnace. Well, they went from a 50% efficiency to a 85. Well, that qualifies as an improvement. And Larry's very good about running that through. And he and I talk before we go through those with Parks and BCT. But
solar panels, we did solar panels one year, didn't we?
I don't think we put solar panels on the BCT. That would be an improvement that we would do.
Okay.
But and that would have been outside of this money.
Okay.
But yeah, I at this point, I don't think it would be more advantageous for us to increase that. But we continue to have discussions about that building, short-term and long-term. It's an old building that's going to need some major things done to it. And quite frankly, whether that would qualify for the RDC is a question, or qualify for TIP funds. So we continue to work on that, and it never gets too far away from us.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I'm just saying I'd love for them I'd rather spend the money now than have something, because it is an old building, you know what I mean? Have something that we've just been putting Band-Aids on for years, and then it's.
They're not shy about asking for funding.
This is true. Okay.
I would also note, for one of the parts of the agreement is that the BCT is required to bring us anything that they think might be TIF eligible. Okay. So we try to keep that as a list. So if for some reason they were going to spend in excess, or it looked like there's going to be a major improvement that we could make that seems to make sense to use with TIF, we would of course bring that to you all. And part of this is that any of those TIF expenditures come to you all again anyhow.
Okay.
And we are engaging pretty closely with them. They have new leadership. They have a turnover on the board. So I think there's a very good working relationship. There's some good trust between the two parties. We're looking right now, as you know, the theater is dark. And so we're doing some work like replacing sprinkler heads in hard to reach places that'll require actually, building scaffolding on the inside. And we're looking for opportunities like that right now because the theater is dark, so that we don't have to disrupt them when they try to, basically reopen and get revenue going again.
Okay. Any questions about Resolution 21-12 from the public? Okay, none. How about redevelopment commissioners? Any questions?
This is David Walter. I'd like to make a motion. We accept Resolution 21-12.
Kappa seconds.
Sorry. All in favor? Aye. Don Griffin.
Aye. Nick Kappas.
David Walter, aye.
None opposed. The motion does carry. Next, we have adjournment.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Hey, this is Brent Pierce. I wanted to quickly jump in at the end. I think I might have overlooked something in the director's report, so I apologize.
Okay.
I wanted to give a quick status update for our neighborhood improvement grant program. Those are grants for neighborhood organizations that are up to $1,100 a piece and require a 10% match from the organizations. Staffer Angela Van Roy manages that program, and she let me know last week that we exceeded our number of applicants and letters of intent to apply for the funding, and that she wanted me to let you all know that we'll keep you apprised of what comes in and our review process, but just to let the commissioners know that that's kind of on the horizon, and we should be getting some funds out to neighborhood organizations here in the near term.
Thank you.
And then I'm sorry, I think this came up last time, but I just wanted to be sure, and certainly now because he's on or a part of the meeting tonight, but John Zodi officially starts on April 5th. If I got that right, if I got that wrong, John, chime in. But as the incoming hand director, and John and I have a standing meeting every Tuesday morning until he officially comes on board, and let the commissioners know that we're excited about John's leadership and the work we're going to all do together. So he's on here if he wants to say anything, but just a quick intro for John and let you all know he starts early April.
Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have anything to say, Mr. Chairman. So just wanted to hop on and just try to stay as up to date as I can as I come on over the next month and a half. Like Brett said, I'll be on officially April 5th. So look forward to working with everybody.
Thank you. Okay.
I believe that's an RDC meeting date. So, John, welcome aboard, and boy, we'll expect big things out of you for that meeting. Just put you
I'll
on.
have a director's report.
Day one director's report. Absolutely.
I will note that here on my notes. Here, Jeff. So,
I'll try to prepare some hard questions for you.
awesome.
All right. Do we have a motion for adjournment?
I make up this motion to adjourn February 16th meeting of the RDC.
All right.
Yeah,
So,
this is David Walter. I'll second that motion.
all right. So moved. See y'all later.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, have a good one.